Amidst the frozen rivers, snow-capped mountains, and blanketed trails in Canmore, Alberta, one can find serenity in the picturesque wilderness. But for some, the idyllic backdrop is irrelevant, as they focus on more important things. Mark Arendz is at home on the shooting range at Canmore's Nordic Centre, where he shoots well, very well.
For me, one of the most peaceful moments is when everything comes together on that range. If everything's on, there's that really beautiful place between the conscious and the subconscious that I almost strive to get to. I love that element, that meditative space.
Mark, right 4, down 3. Right 4, down 3.
Ever since I had my accident when I was 7 years old, sport has kind of been a therapeutic element for me. In its most basic form, it allowed me to show my abilities rather than my disability.
His ability on the range is evident, and his shooting coach, John Jacques, knows that Mark never takes a day off.
Mark, you're good, but you could do another paper if you want.
Probably the most committed athlete I've ever had the pleasure to work with. His success came from work, and he works hard, and he's a true competitor. He's not content just to win a para race. He feels just as excited about competing in able-bodied and being competitive there.
Team Canada head coach Robin McKeever has witnessed the evolution of Mark and his competitive spirit in biathlon and Nordic skiing.
Pushing to the side. Okay, let's see it. Well, he's gone through all the stages in a lot of ways. From when we first met him was, new and green and a sponge, collecting all the information he could, and was really, just a neat kid at that time. Had all these dreams and aspirations, and then it was about creating a monster, let's say, because high performance sport is really about creating everything into one package. You have to be, a killer on the race course.
And that killer mentality was on full display during the 2018 Winter Paralympic Games in Pyeongchang.
He entered 6 races. He got 6 medals. As the coach, the funny thing is that's amazing, but at the same time, me as the hard-ass coach I am, was about picking apart where he actually could have done better in each race. He picked those pieces and then went back to refocus and change his strategy going into every race.
We just had the main races for our able-bodied team were not that long ago, and Mark was competitive. He was, the 8th man in Canada in able-bodied, which means he would have qualified to go to Europe.
So where did this relentless drive come from? Mark credits his upbringing on Prince Edward Island, working on his family's farm for instilling the relentlessness he exudes today.
So a big part of growing up in PEI was I lived on a family farm, and since I could, or even before I could walk, really, I was my dad and mom were carrying me around the farm and trying to help out with different chores. And as that grew, my responsibilities grew, but also my ability to help out. And it was kind of, yes, it was the place where I had an accident when I was 7 years old and lost my arm, but it was also a place that allowed me to still work on all these little different challenges.
Yeah, at an early age, they learned how to work hard.
His parents, Yanni and Johan, saw that spark to succeed when he was very young.
He always tried to fix things or make things better or tweaking things, or, he was very crafty and always using tools, and they were always kind of playing, but it was work at the same time.
And as Mark mentioned, when he was 7, an accident while helping out on the family farm resulted in his left arm being amputated above the elbow. While recovering in hospital, Mark recalls something the doctor said that stuck with him.
They actually thought it was a really good age for this to happen, or a better age for this to happen, considering the circumstance where I was old enough to understand what had happened, but young enough to quickly adapt And I think that was part of it. I was just going to be a kid, and that's what I did. And then that's kind of when I stepped into the sport as seeing an opportunity. You know, I still have two good legs, might even be lighter now, so I can just run faster. And that's kind of where sport for me just took off.
Which led to Mark discovering biathlon with his younger brother, Menno.
I turned of age at 12, and that's when you can start doing biathlon with cadets. So one of the girls actually that was in my jackrabbit group, her father was a cadet coach. So as soon as I turned 12, I started shooting with them, and well, it only took about 3 weeks until he had Mark convinced to try it. And the rest is history. I mean, from that, we competed in our first provincials together, not 2 or 3 weeks after that.
We took the steps that made us one of the best on the island, and then, you know, one of the best in the region, and finally one of the better teams nationally in the cadet world.
That success between brothers eventually led Mark to getting an invitation to participate in a few races in BC and Alberta.
The coach came up to me, he's like, "Can you miss 3 weeks of school?" And I'm like, "I think so." He's like, "Good, you're coming to World Cup." And 3 weeks later, I was on World Cup for the first time, and I was still 16. I hadn't even turned 17 yet. And, you know, having that experience then, and then building towards Vancouver. Vancouver was still the goal that everyone was talking about.
Mark's meteoric rise in Nordic and biathlon continued with him competing on home soil at the 2010 Vancouver Paralympic. And though he did not achieve his goals at those games, Mark was just getting started.
My Paralympic journey, I feel for me, started after Vancouver. It was flying home from Vancouver that I'm like, that was a very different level. That is what the best in the world are getting ready for, and I want to be one of those guys.
In Canmore, Alberta, amongst the opposing Rocky Mountains, lies a 7-ton blue granite sculpture of a head, referred to as the Big Head. Inspired by the town's name and a reminder for locals to keep grounded, Paralympian Mark Arendz needs no reminder.
Silver medalist representing Canada, Mark Arendz.
Despite winning 2 medals in the 2014 Games in Sochi, followed by a Winter Paralympic record 6 in Pyeongchang, along with seemingly countless other medal finishes and accolades to his name, Mark never sought out the spotlight. But when you put up the results that he does, the spotlight quickly finds you, whether you like it or not.
There's definitely elements that I don't enjoy as much, but I see that it's the opportunity to get the message out there and inspire people to follow their dreams.
For his parents, Yanni and Johan, the public recognition still takes some getting used to.
It's still a strange feeling, right?
Yeah.
Strangest thing was, we realized that when we were in Vancouver. We were sitting there in the stand, and they were warming up, and he came by, and all of a sudden, somebody raised, "Go, Mark!" And both Joe and me kind of got up and looked down there like, who is that? Because we figured we should know that person because that person knew Mark.
Yeah.
So we had no clue who it was, but it was like, that was the first time like, oh, other people know him too.
While he may rather spend his time on his own, running the snowy trails of Canmore, Mark understands that being in the public eye affords him more opportunities to give back to those who have helped him along the way.
After the accident, the community came to my help. A story that kind of really spoke to me. The day after my accident, a dozen people from the community showed up, or across the island even, showed up to the farm just to help out. And some of them had never been on a farm. And I think that was my first glimpse at what community was, like just helping. They had heard about the accident and were here to help.
Down up. Down up. Yep.
Team Canada's head coach, Robin McKeever, saw Mark's desire to help others after his impressive showing in Pyeongchang by sharing the glory of his win with others back home.
Going back to, PEI and going back to the place where it all started for him right after the games to celebrate with the hospital with his medals was really key. And it wasn't even about him, it's just what he wanted to do. It's his way now of giving back to PEI and the place where he came from. And that just sets a tone of who he really is.
PEI is also celebrating Mark's unique accomplishments, renaming the sole provincial ski facility on the island the Mark Arendz Provincial Ski Park, something his brother Menno and parents did not believe at first.
When I first heard, I thought it was actually a joke. I didn't a million years think that they'd actually rename it the Mark Arendz Ski Park.
We live pretty close to the park, so every time we step in a car and go somewhere, we see the sign because it's all around us. And yeah, it's still strange.
Yeah, it really is. The first time I saw it, I backed the car up. I said, what did I just see? And I backed the car up, and yes, there it was. I said, holy smokes.
It's been an amazing honor, and I think for me it allows me to even elevate the legacy that that venue has given me. I was able to have that opportunity to try biathlon, fall in love with it, and develop my skill and start my journey there on those on that range, on those trails. Now I get to share that with the rest of the world, but also that legacy piece of this might inspire the next generation of the best of Canada, but also of PEI.
While honors like these are usually reserved for those whose sport careers are over, Mark isn't thinking about hanging up the skis anytime soon.
For me, I don't know if there's a next step. I want to evolve. There is still more in my skiing. There's more out of my shooting, and it's pushing myself to get that little bit more. And now maybe it's not 0.7 of a second, maybe it's 0.1 of a second that I'm still working to improve. And in a way, I'm curious to see what is next, what is more.
2022 gold medalist and Paralympic champion, Mark Arendz.